attack on the State of Israel by Hamas, supporting the State of Israel's right to defend itself, urging the President and Congress to provide emergency assistance in the State of Israel, providing an effective date.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded for discussion. I pulled this item. I just want to say thank you, Mr. Berman, for preparing it. It's something I asked to be put on the agenda. I think it speaks for itself what it outlines, that basically Hamas, which has been declared a terrorist organization, is conducting acts of terror, which is inhumane and loss of life, and should be condemned. Which that's why I had this put on there. That's really all I've got. Thank you, Mr. Berman. I appreciate it. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Please come forward. Just name and address for the record.
Michael Skabrowski, 1630 Southwest Fifth Avenue, Pompano Beach. I am 100% for this resolution. Jewish people have been persecuted over thousands of years, more than any other group of people in this country and the world.
What?
Hold up, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, please let the gentleman speak. Thank you.
World War II, over 6 million Jewish people were maimed, killed, and tortured. Does anybody have any arguments over that?
Ladies and gentlemen, please let the man
1948,
speak.
Israel finally became a state surrounded by rogue nations, and they've consistently had to defend themselves for years on end. Now, I do feel sorry for what is going on to the Palestinians, but they are surrounded in their area by a bunch of terrorists. Just like 9/11, just like Pearl Harbor, the Israelites must defend themselves, and they will.
Thank God you ain't our mayor and you represent our city.
Next speaker.
You don't have to say
I am actually Jewish. I'm retired.
Please. And we have quiet so we can hear the speakers. Thank you. Go ahead. Your name?
My name is Alexis. The clock needs to be started over.
Sure, I'll let you go. Let's pause.
I am actually Jewish, and I'm tired of people like that speaking for me.
Thank you.
Okay, all of my family either died or survived the Holocaust on every single side. My step-grandfather, who is 98 years old, goes around lecturing about the Holocaust. So we're not going to sit here and pretend Jewish people are the most oppressed people in the world when there's lots of black people sitting in this room. We're not going to do that. And then we're not going to sit here and say that Hamas committed an unwarranted attack on Israel. We walked into their homes and stole their homes in 1948. Okay? Jewish people have been in Europe longer than Christianity has existed. That is our home. We haven't lived in Israel in thousands of years. We walked in there in 1948 and stole their homes. They have every right to fight back and try to get their homes back. And now that they have fought back, we are genociding them. Israel is genociding Palestinians. There is nothing anyone can say that pretends Israel has had it worse than Palestine. We have cut off all aid to Palestine. They have no electricity, they have no water, they have no food. We are bombing residential neighborhoods and decimating them to the ground. And we want to use our funding for that? And then someone comes up here and talks about suicide. You know what the #1 cause of suicide in this country is? People can't afford their bills anymore. People can't afford their rent. People can't afford their water or electricity. There are so many homeless people. And we're going to take our funds and support genocide? Every single year, coming up is Kristallnacht in November, and we say never again. We have no right to say never again. We are committing genocide in the name, but we're not, in our name, you have no right to commit genocide in our name. I am tired of hearing we're committing genocide for the Jews. Plenty of Jews stand against what's happening to Palestine right now.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Next speaker. Name and address for the record.
Hey, my name is Tiffany. I live in Miramar, but I'm standing here in solidarity with what Alexis just said. I am a core organizer with the Black Futures Alliance. So when I was here before, it was when Greg Frazier was actually killed by the local police in Pompano. So I'm here, and also after George Floyd co-organized a protest right here in Pompano with the local pastor. So I'm committed to justice. So what the gentleman said about Jewish people, like 6 million being massacred, we have to talk about 60 million Black people being massacred in the slave Atlantic transit. Okay. So that's important to mention as well too. But today I'm talking about what's going on right now in Palestine, right? So you can't say that attack was unprovoked when there has been history of 7 decades of Palestinian people facing persecution from Israeli people in Palestine. So you have people that have been bombed, have been displaced for several generations. And like she said, you cannot send aid to Israel when they're actively committing genocide on innocent civilians. This is not a war against one military to another. Palestine does not have a military. They do not have an army. So the bombings are happening to churches, they're happening at hospitals, they're happening in people's homes. Children are being murdered and massacred. So just like we deserve to have safe roads and safe transportation and all those things, people in Palestine deserve those same things too. And right now those are being bombed. So they're telling people to evacuate, they're bombing the roads. So where do people go? So it's not right that we're sending resources where average people like me and Alexis are actually trying to send humanitarian aid, not war aid over there. It needs to be peace. There needs to be justice. There needs to be a ceasefire. That's what Palestinians are calling for. That's what elected officials across the country are calling for, an immediate ceasefire. That's what we should be talking about. If we're talking about justice and people wanting to be safe, people in Pompano who live in Pompano deserve to be safe. People who live in Palestine deserve to be safe. People in Israel too deserve to be safe as well too. But all life is important. So you can't say an Israeli life is more important than a Palestinian life because Palestinian people are oppressed by Israel. They control the markets, they bomb the Gaza Strip airport. So everything is being controlled by Israel right now. And it's not right to send more war aid when what is really needed is humanitarian aid. That's it.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments. Next speaker. Just name and address for the record.
Ihab Al-Damal, 2215 Cypress Island Drive, Pompano Beach 33069. As my understanding from the resolution is that this mainly condemn the killing of civilians. So I think if we're gonna condemn killing civilians, we should condemn killing civilians on both parts, on both sides.
Ladies and gentlemen, please let the gentleman speak.
I understand that this resolution gonna pass, but I request to be adding to it that the state of Pompano Beach have a concern concerning the high toll of civilian casualties. It's not a perfect example, but let's say if we took if a Mexican cartel came across from Mexico to Arizona and they killed about 500 of our American brotherly, does that give us the right to wipe out city of Mexico? Does that give us the right to drop 12,000 tons of bombs in 2 weeks? That does give us the right to destroy 52,000 residential units. That does give us the right to cut the power on hospitals where there are incubators that have babies. That does give us the right to cut food and water and fuel from them. I just think that if we're going to condemn civilian casualties, we should condemn them on both sides. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Next speaker. Name and address for the record.
David Hall, 290 Southeast State Court. I think I heard the mayor say that he was against all killing and the suffering on both sides in that proclamation. So it is possible for things to be true at the same time, two different things. Yes, black people have suffered in this country and around the world, and we had a horrible start to how they came to this country. That's true, that's indisputable. But it's also true what was said about 6 million Jews being killed in the Holocaust. They are some of the most persecuted people on this planet. And I don't know at any time has Israeli forces or Israeli people gone in and cut open the bellies of pregnant women and stabbed babies while they're attached to the billboard and then shot them in the head. There are 400 plus Hamas rockets because they're not capable of making fully functioning rockets that have exploded in their own land, including into a hospital parking lot. There are numerous
Ma'am, I'm going to
examples.
ask you to please be quiet. This is your first warning. Thank you. Ma'am, I'm going to ask you to be quiet. This is your second warning. Thank you. Go ahead.
There are numerous examples, including interrogations of captured Hamas soldiers talking about how they got their cell phones and they're live streaming back, Dad, please be proud of me. I killed 6 Jews with my hands. My bare hands, I killed them. That's their words. That's their words. So when they're giving them drugs and these Hamas terrorists are going in, and that's all documented, they have it from interrogations of them live streamed, and they're live streaming murdering people in their homes in Israel. Anyone that can come up and defend these animals deserve no thought or care or concern of what they're asking for. These people who have done this are absolutely filthy. And yes, if someone came into this country and did the equivalent of... Stop.
Please, can we escort this lady out?
Mayor,
Let's-
that's
let's-
Mayor,
I'm
that's
asking you
hate
to
speech
please
he just gave.
Go out
Mayor,
outside.
he just gave hate speech. Mayor, he just gave hate speech, Mayor. Mayor, he just gave a hate speech, Mayor. This guy just gave a hate speech, and you okay with it? He just gave a hate speech in front of the whole city council. This guy just
You
gave a
should be
hate speech.
ashamed of yourself. So many homeless people in this city, you're gonna send money to genocide. Every one of you should be ashamed of yourself. Fuck all of you.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. And I am not condemning an entire race. I'm condemning the people who cut open pregnant women's bellies. So that's exactly what we're talking about. We're not talking about the poor Palestinians who live there and are going to have to suffer the fact that Hamas hides in their houses, won't let them evacuate. And oh, by the way, Jordan and Egypt won't even accept the Palestinians escaping their country. They say, stay, we don't even want you. So it's a horrible situation. But to try to equivocate or excuse me, to conflate the two different sides is absolutely reprehensible. To justify or try to come up with any way to say that those people and what they've done in Hamas and Hezbollah and what they're doing equates to anything anyone else has done is just a fallacy, and it's pure and simple anti-Semitism.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker. Name and address and record, sir.
Vicente Flores, born and raised in Pompano Beach, 3rd generation, so I have a right to speak. Understand? Ma'am, I'm gonna say it again, 3rd generation, I have a right to say what I want to say. Some of y'all have moved here from other states, and y'all think y'all have a right to say something. We have a right to say, well, this is our city. My grandparents and great-grandparents found it. Hey, we are here. And man, you better have no more television because, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Until he gave a correction, he was giving a hate speech just now. Until he corrected himself, I would rather blow him out of the water. Because everything he said, calling people names, you wouldn't let us get away with that. To talk trash like that. We couldn't dare say we hate people, call them bastards and this and that on public television. This is live. We don't have no decorum on what we say these days. We can just say what we want to say. And you all are the elected officials and say that it's okay to do it under our brand. And then this idiot who always runs against you for mayor, one of the council members, y'all sit there and think that that's appropriate for him to act like. Do you know how many African Americans were hanged and burned and Emmett Till
in this country.
in this country?
Not
Where's the
another country.
resolution supporting our suffering?
Right.
Do we come here and burden y'all and we elect every last one of y'all and support your agenda? So today, for anybody to have any criticism to what we say, that's garbage. Our parents were here when your parents got here, we were here. I do not condone what happened over there. But what we will not condone is a bunch of people who ain't never been born or raised in Pompano Beach that come up here and act like they're gonna put us on the market to fight their battles. That ain't acceptable, Mayor. You represent us, and don't forget it. It ain't the federal government, you represent what we want. And this council, remember that.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker,
Now, step up to me.
please come forward.
But I know you don't want none of this smoke.
Just name and address for the record, please.
Jocelyn Jackson. I sympathize with what's going on over with the fight. But I also sympathize of the residents here with the gun violence that we have and the torment going on in our city. And I've never seen a resolution. I don't know who approved this to be on the agenda,
He did,
the process. Yes,
the mayor did.
and I find it offensive, because we struggling in our own city with gun violence.
Their own country.
We struggling right here. Man, right here, we struggling with gun violence. African Americans being murdered. And the corner stores are still open for business. We got to clean at our house before we able to assist anyone else in their house.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Next speaker. Name and address for the record.
Sarah Peterson, 4354 Northwest 9th Avenue. I wasn't going to say anything, but this is this resolution is very divisive because we have so many viewpoints on this, so many different perspectives. And if you watching the news or any social media, depending on which side you're watching from, they'll tell a story and each side is bad. I think this resolution divides a city that's already trying to come together, as we just saw. And as much as I would like for us to send a message of where we stand as a city, we don't even stand together as a city. We have work we need to do to bring us together. And I really hope that this resolution has some conversation amongst the dais because I think it is a very split feeling of where people stand with this, not in support or out of support, but how can we stand here after what we just saw? Some people just here for the first time and seeing something like we have this going on every night. This is showing that we are not together on this resolution, and I hope you all have some conversation about what does this say about the city and the people who are speaking tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.